Hello, this is Lisa Rose here on Connect to Love on PRNFM, and I am so delighted to welcome you and to welcome Michael J. Russ, my co-creator in this universal exploration of all the things wonderful. And so, Michael, I want to welcome our audience and also say welcome to you.
Thank you. Welcome. Welcome, audience. It's a beautiful day here in paradise.
It absolutely is. Michael, I so appreciate you because oftentimes, and our audiences knows, we do this show completely unscripted. And so Michael will tune into something or I might, and he'll reach out to me, and then it starts my thought processes wandering and everything else. And so I was thinking about how in this world, there is sort of like a universal language that sort of transcends all verbal barriers, and that is the language of the heart, which we drop into. But it's also the language of sound and what's invisible to us. And we cannot see sound. We cannot see love, but we feel it. It's a vibration. There is something that comes from those vibrations that we received. And vibration really is energy moving. And so when you get the energy moving, you think about all the way from the dawn of humanity, where communication skills were not what they are now, where we have all of these apps that we can change from one language to the other. And so how did people communicate? And one of the ways that they did that was actually through percussive instruments. You look at how our ancestors gathered together and the power that rhythm had, that it elicited emotion and also messages. It gave birth to a lot of different things that sort of laid the foundation for this universal language that transcended everything. And if you've ever been to a parade where you hear a big bass drum and the drummer will strike the drum with the mallet, and you've got all of these, drums in a drum line, they'll go through and you'll feel it. You not only do you hear it, but you also feel it. And many years ago, I had an opportunity to see the group Kodo. I don't know. Are you familiar with Kodo, Michael? The traditional Japanese drumming.
Oh, yeah. You're talking. Yeah, I have. I've seen them several times. I've seen.
Yes, and it is nothing. I thought to myself when somebody said to me that I was going to go listen to drums, I thought, oh my goodness, this is going to be interesting. How can I sit through the whole evening? And I was literally completely mesmerized, and I left there in such an ecstatic state. And in Japanese, the word kodo, it actually means heartbeat, which is, of course, the primal source of rhythm. We think about our mother's heartbeat in the womb. We think about those vibrations that we hear. We know we're in this amniotic sac, so I don't recall what that sounded like, but I would imagine that it would have that same cadence and same vibration that you would hear when you are striking a drum. And what's so fascinating, and when Michael brought this topic up to me, I thought about that. I went back to that time where I watched this very tiny Japanese man literally anchor himself by straps into this massive drum. And just to watch the sheer physical strength and to feel it in my heart, and every cell of my body was nothing short of miraculous. So that's sort of what we're going to explore today. How we're going to explore the invisible vibration, sound, how it changes us, how it impacts us, and I'd love to hear your thoughts, Michael. You being a drummer, and how music really unites cultures from all corners of the world.
That's great. Thank you. Wonderful introduction. Yeah, drums, interesting. I know that back when I was 5, 6, I had rhythms in my head, and I used to take those rhythms out on furniture and other various things around the house. And my mother got tired of it one day when I turned sometime in my 7th year of life. She got tired of it and said, "That's it. I'm taking you to to the Officers Club drummer for drum lessons. And I said, oh, great. So, from that point on, I've been playing, but I've had this intuitive. I refer to myself as an intuitive drummer. I moved too many times. I've had lessons to learn how to read music, jazz music, and that sort of thing. But we went to Turkey. We got transferred to Turkey a year and a half into learning that, and there was nobody over there who could carry on the learning. And you know what happens then. You just don't carry it on, and that's it. You kind of lose it. So I sit down and kind of play by feel, play by ear, play by intuition. When I play with a live group, it's a function of me just kind of sitting into the saddle, so to speak, and into the rhythm of whatever it is that's going on. And it's really fascinating when you can do that because you're listening to everything, right? You're listening to the bass player, you're listening to the guitar player, you're listening to the rhythm that's being laid down and where the music is actually going. And in California, I was always the sit-in. I was the sit-in drummer. So they would, if I'd say, I can't play with you full time because I don't have the ability to do that time-wise. But if you need a drummer to sit in because your other drummer can't make it, call me. I'll be here in half an hour, and I'll play with you. And that would happen at least a couple times a month. Sometimes 3 times a month. I'd get a call from this blues guy, and he was an old-time blues guy. He was like 80 years old. He knew all the old blues guys out of the South, had played with him before, Muddy Waters, I mean, you name it, all these guys. And he'd call me, and he basically, I can say that I'd play 4 hours with the guy without really only knowing the names of probably 10% of the songs, if that he called out, that he played. I mean, I didn't know the music. I mean, I didn't know where it was going. He would just simply, he would look over at me. He would say 4/4 stop time, and I said, okay, good. So I knew that basically at some point there was going to be, it was a song that involved stop time, which is basically a stop, a halt somewhere within the song, and then it gets picked up again 4 beats later. And so 2 to 4 beats later, depending on what it is that he's got going on. So, you just, and he'd tell me the tempo. He'd give me the tempo really quickly, and he'd say stop time because to alert me the fact that there was going to be stop time somewhere in the song, because not all songs, very few songs have that, but a lot of blues songs do, and a lot of jazz songs have that. So we play all kinds of things, Girl from Ipanema, I mean, really just different kinds of beats. We play some straight-ahead jazz. We'd play some straight shuffle blues. I mean, it's just, he'd yell out shuffle to some, boom, boom. I didn't know the name of the song. I don't know what the heck. And so when he was ready to end the song, that was the most interesting thing. The gift I have is the ability to tell when a song is going to end. And everybody I've ever played with is fascinated by that. By how in the world did you know that song was going to end? And I'd say, I can feel it.
That's amazing.
I can feel it. I can sense it. I'm listening to the music, and I know the music's going somewhere. And I'm watching people, too, because sometimes the bass player will look over and say, they'll start and say, watch me, watch me. And I had the pleasure of playing with this group Poco one night. Poco's an 80s band, rock, sort of soft rock band. And I couldn't remember a darn song that they came out with, but they had I think 2 or 3 top 20 hits on the Billboard charts, and really cool group. But at the time, a buddy told me, "Hey, yeah, Poco's coming to play at my party. You probably sit in with them." Well, these guys came up and they played, and they said, "Hey, you want to sit in?" And I said, "Yeah, sure." And I told the bass player, I said, "I'm just going to tell you straight up, I don't know a darn thing you guys play, but just give me an idea of what give the tempo and we'll move forward on it, and I'll pick up on it." And I did it. I played 4 songs with him. And the guy, after we got done, the leader of Poco, the lead singer, comes over to me. He goes, "Man, you can come down to Key West and play with us anytime.
That's so nice."
Yeah, and I said, "Yeah, that's fantastic, considering the fact that I still don't know a darn thing you guys play. But I have to, if I'm going to come down there." This is like 12 years ago, 12, 13, 14 years ago. But he was a really nice guy. But the other day we talked about being daring and taking risks, and I kind of mentioned at the time that that I love to do that. But that's really what we're talking about. We're talking about being daring, believing in yourself to the point where you put yourself in a position where you have to succeed. I wouldn't say cannot fail. I would say have to succeed. Because if you start thinking about failure, your mind goes in a totally different place. And that place is risk averse, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you want to be pro-risk, which means you want to think success. And that's the way I do it. I sit down and I basically think success. And when I'm focused on that, now I'm focused, my mind, my intuition's kicked in, my creativity's kicked in. And I am feeling the music, and I am in a space of focus that is completely and utterly devoid of anything outside of off the stage. Everything off, nothing. I don't see people. I don't see lights. I don't see anything. I just basically, and my eyes aren't even closed. I just don't see anything out there. It's like darkness. And I'm just focused on what's going on stage. Now, I'll tell you one last little story about this, which is really kind of interesting, because I have a friend that lives in Maui, Hawaii, and I went over to Hawaii for a week to see him, and we started out in Waikiki in Honolulu, and so this is about 24 years ago, 23, 24 years ago, and I said, okay, great. He says, let's go down to Aloha Tower. My buddy, who's very well known on the island, he was a guitarist who was like Ala. He was a big Jimi Hendrix fan, a big Chicago blues fan. This group played all kinds of music. And they were playing Aloha Tower, and it was about 250 people. And I'm standing back at the bar with he and his sister. His sister's like the #1 Hawaiian singer on the entire island. They have deep Hawaiian blood heritage through his grandmother, their grandmother. And so we're sitting there, and all of a sudden, we're there 2 hours, and I hear this. Yeah, there's a special guest in the audience tonight, and he's going to come up and play a couple of tunes. Michael Russ, come on up. And I said, what? I looked at my buddy, and he said, surprise. I said, now, get this. My buddy's never heard me play. He'd never heard me play a lick. Yet he's going to put me in front of 250 people with Willie K. This guy, Willie K, is like, everybody knows this guy on all the islands as far as music goes. And I said, yeah, okay, dude. All right, yeah, sure. I'm like, yeah, okay. So you can't say no. The dude has already called you up to the stage. So I walk up to the stage and I sit down behind a drum set I've never played before, and so the whole setup is completely and totally foreign to me. And he says, okay, let's start playing some Chicago blues. We started out playing some Chicago blues, and then we played some James Brown, a couple of James Brown numbers, and then he said, take it away, and he gave me a solo, and I'm like, I forgot to tell him, don't give me any solos, because I'm, number one, I'm not warmed up or whatever, and so all these people are in the audience, and everybody else around me in the band stops. So I said, you want to talk about being in a situation where you absolutely have to succeed, because what I didn't tell you is that I forgot to breathe when I was in the first couple of songs. What happens when you don't breathe? Your muscles
get lightheaded. Yeah, for sure.
Your muscles kind of seize up a bit, right? That's kind of what happens when you're breathing heavy and you forget to breathe. I mean, you're focused and you're like, wow. I said, so luckily I got through that. And after that, and I told my buddy, I got back to the bar, I said, I forgot to tell him no solos, man. I'm just like, it was crazy. But then he invited me to play in Maui 2 days later at a place in Kihei in Maui where the band was going to be the next night. And so I went and played for a couple more songs with him. But that kind of, yeah, the fact is, though, it's interesting because blues music is very melodic, and I love playing shuffles. I love playing blues shuffles. And if anybody ever seen the movie Crossroads, or I don't know, have you ever seen the movie Crossroads?
No, I haven't.
Ralph Macchio. Ralph Macchio is. It was in this movie. It was back in the late '80s, early '90s. But it's a movie about Robert Johnson, who's supposed to be the father of modern blues, and he was the story was he wanted to be the best guitar player in the world and win a new genre, and he went to the crossroads someplace down south where two roads intersected in the middle of nowhere, and he made a deal with the devil that if he could have his soul if he could be the best guitarist on the planet. And whether that's true or not, who the heck knows. Bottom line is, Robert Johnson created a kind of guitar where he used a little pipe on his finger. Are you familiar with slack key guitar, where you Bonnie Raitt's really good at it. Bonnie Raitt is really awesome at this, at playing like that. But it's like he created that concept of playing with that with this little steel pipe thing on your finger, where you kind of come up and down and create this sound on the guitar. Interestingly enough, side story, my brother, who's an actor, was picked to play, because he does really play guitar in real life. We'd played a long time since he was 9 years old. 2 years after, actually a year after me, he started playing guitar. And so he was chosen to play Robert Johnson in the movie. So he was, so in the beginning of the movie, it's my brother standing at the crossroads.
Oh, and my goodness.
It's my brother in the studio, the studio is a guy from, I think it's Sun Records or something like that. I hope, I'd have to look it up, but from a record company that recorded white artists that was now interested in recording black artists. And because there was a popularity and they wanted to get on the front of the wave. And so this guy went to the city where Robert Johnson lives. He set up his little recording gear to make a recording of Robert Johnson. And Robert Johnson didn't like to play facing the audience. He faced away from the audience. It's really interesting. So he's sitting there in his hotel room, and he's in a corner. He's faced away from the guy, right? He's got his back to the guy, with the microphone's on the other side, but he's got his back to him. And my brother actually had to learn. He learned from Robert Johnson himself how to play that type of guitar, which is really the cat's meow when it comes to being able to learn from someone. He learned from the best, and because when you're in a movie, they bring in the people who know how to do it. He brought in Robert Johnson. He showed him how to play that, which was really, really cool. But that kind of guitar, the blues is just, it's melodic, it's raw, it's a style of music that is just soulful, and to be able to play it as a drummer is really rather cool. Because it goes through your whole body. It's just a rhythm that just carries on and on and on, and you can't help but love it. And if you've never heard it before, fall in love with it. It's not do it. So
true.
Yeah.
When you said Johnson, I thought, and I don't know if you've ever heard him or heard of him, but there's a blues guitarist. His name is Justin Johnson, and I found him just by accident when I was looking. It was like one of those things that popped up, and he plays a shovel guitar. And it was so fascinating to me because it's basically 3 strings that he attached to a garden shovel, and he made like the spacing on it, and to watch him and the sounds were so fascinating to me, and that's sort of what I was speaking about. When you have something that really transcends the barriers of language, you feel that vibration. It just impacts you, and I couldn't get enough. I went to his thing, and I think that he does play the others, but now he sells these shovel guitars, and makes them. And you talk about like daring, putting yourself out there, putting yourself out to say, you know what, I'm going to try something a little bit different. This is a handmade instrument. I'm going to give it a whirl. And you go back to whatever the roots are that took you to where you are. And it's about, again, being authentic and innovative. And I think that's sort of the connection when you have drumming like you do, where you just get up and you're done with your set and you look around and you've transformed what's gone on in the audience. And I couldn't imagine. I love music of all different types, but I was really big into heavy metal growing up. I loved the drumming. I loved watching it. I loved just the nuances of it. Not that I wasn't fascinated with guitars, but there was something about drumming, and I was sort of like a closet drummer, like you and your mom said, okay, come on, we're going to get you lessons. I never got lessons, but there was something so transformative of it. And I think it takes us back to those ancient connections, to those sacred drum circles, to the powwows, to the African drums, all of those different traditions that really resonate with how humanity created and how they communicated. I think it really connects us. It's like that love connection, that heartbeat, what's emanated from the heart. And I think that's what's so interesting about drumming, because it is very therapeutic. It relaxes, it energizes you, it soothes you. It actually affects the vagus nerve. They've done a lot of studies, and they use it for anxiety and depression. And you think about, that drumming and how it affects your heart rate. And I think sometimes people put those subwoofers in their car. It's like, they're craving that beat. It's a little too loud for me, and I feel it. I really feel it in my thymus. It's not so much the type of vibration that I'm interested in. I like it actually, just the natural vibrations from the actual drum has to my chest and to my ear. I think it really does make a difference. But you think about how sound, they use it. A friend of mine called me last night because her sister has kidney stones, and I said, well, what about ultrasound? Mm-hmm. Sound healing the kidney, sound healing broken bones, sound affecting our brain and increasing the theta waves, the waves of the brain that get us into a space where we are, whether it be deep in meditation and healing. I happen to enjoy binaural beats, where it stimulates one part of the brain and then it goes to the other, and it makes it go back and forth. And for me, I can have very little sleep, but if I'm listening to those beats, I wake up so refreshed. It's amazing. Amazing.
Yeah. Where do you listen? Do you get those off YouTube or?
Yeah, a lot of times. And then there's another, Dr. Jeffrey Thompson, who was sort of one of the pioneers in sound therapy. He has different ones for the awakened brain. So there's theta, delta, alpha wave healing, beta wave, and he generates the sound based on what you want to elicit. Now, he has a delta sleep system. That's sort of how I found him, because he had like a nap series where you could listen to this music 5 minutes, 15 minutes, a half hour, and wake up refreshed. And at first when I got them, I thought, there's no way I'm going to feel a difference. But you go into a sleep, and as soon as that music is done, you're wide awake and you're ready to go. So it's really made a big difference in my world. I used to recommend his CDs to a lot of different clients in my practice, because just that being able to get into that state, and to you don't really realize that your brain is being affected. And I'm very, very careful about the sounds that I curate. I'm sure that you are, the ones that you surround yourself with. I mean, you put on a piece of music, and It literally can transform your day. You can be having the worst day, and you're going to jump in your car and get this melody coming out, and if there's the right type of drums in there, wow, you forget even what was bothering you. It has that ability.
Yeah, well, music has a way to focus you. There's no doubt about it. I mean, it can, there's music that I curate. I have a little playlist that I play drums to when I need to play 4 or 5 songs, different kinds of rhythms, and there's no doubt about the fact that it's alchemy. Music is alchemy. It's very transformative, and it can take you from one mood to another mood. And I find myself now Shazamming songs that come on television shows or movies because the music has been curated to set a specific mood, right, for the movie. And there are some songs that I have Shazammed in the last 6 months that have been absolutely glorious, just beautiful. Just when you hear them, they touch your hearts, they play your heartstrings. That's how, just magical the music is. And after a month, you don't even know you don't know what movie it was associated with, but you hear it, and it has that way of just getting to just playing to your soul, just going in and reaching a hand in and touching your soul, and you're like, wow, that is so amazing. You become emotionally happy and joyful, right? From because that's what they were looking to. That was what they were looking to evoke with the music at that particular point in the movie. And it's the whole business of finding songs by artists to complement a script in a movie, to convey a feeling, is an art to its own, and one that is spectacular. But I'll tell you, there are some really, really, really special people doing that in the movie industry. So I like it. I mean, there's so many. I mean, there's just, you just sit back and you close your eyes and you're like, oh my gosh, that is beautiful. And in many, many, many ways, just the way that it's put together. But there's some very creative people out there. Thank goodness for YouTube, where people can and TikTok and whatever, all these social media. To me, that's the good part of social media, where you can have people who are individual artists that are putting snippets of things they've written, talent that they're displaying with regard to various instruments up, so that the whole world can get a taste, so they can share their who they are, share what their expertise is, their level of their talent, their gift, so to speak. And that, to me, that's the wonderful thing about social media. And it's what I use YouTube for more than anything else. That and enlightening myself. We both do that, but enlightening myself with regard to that. So it's interesting because AI now on Spotify and Pandora and Apple Music, if you listen to something, a certain genre of music, it will put together playlists for you in that genre of music and say, oh, here's Michael's number 1, Michael's number 2, Michael's number 3, and you'll learn something new. You'll find a new song. I find that in listening to, I listen to smooth jazz radio, and I'll just in the background, and I'll listen. A song will catch me, and catch me. It'll resonate through me. And I'll go, whoa, what is that? And I can hear the groove, and I can hear the chorus and the melody, and I can hear the harmony. I can hear everything in it, and I'm going, wow, that is a great. That's a well constructed piece of music. And I'll go to Shazam it, and I'll pick it up, and then I'll listen to it later on, add it to my collection. And because I don't listen to too much radio, other than maybe streaming or my own playlist, I'm very cognizant when I go into a store, when I'm in an elevator, when I'm wherever I am out and about. I don't go to malls very much anymore, but the music that plays in many cases is it's there. It's being played for a reason, because of the way it makes you feel relaxed, right?
Oh, absolutely.
And there's some cool songs that you can just, melodies and things that you can pick up that you would never ever in a million years find on your own. You know, I feel like I'm guided to the music that I Shazam for myself, that I find and add to my playlist. And I only need a little snippet of it, and I'm going, whoa, wait a minute, I need to check that out. Or maybe there's some sort of melodic singing that's a part of it, which is, just touches your heart. The music, I just love the music that just touches your heart and soul. You just listen to it, and it just makes you feel so good. Makes you feel amazing, as if you could do anything. That's kind of like movies. Movies, I love watching movies where at the end, and a lot of true story movies, are based on a true story. Because the story is so fantastic, it makes you feel absolutely phenomenal at the end, and the music goes right along with that. And sometimes, sometimes it's the music that plays after the music's over during the credits. That's even more phenomenal sometimes, is the music that plays then that they curate for the end of a movie. So I don't know. Music is all throughout my life. My mother sang. My brother plays guitar. My sister made a life out of music for kids, and as a form for early childhood education, and in writing educational music and producing educational music. And I just love it. It's woven throughout my life, and luckily, and to our audience out there, the beautiful thing about music nowadays is that it's a lot easier to curate a playlist for yourself that is directed at whatever you're doing, whatever your thinking is, whatever your frame of mind is, and you can create music. Like, I'll just tell you for a sample. I got back in 1998, I think it was, when I wrote my first book, the golf book. When I was sitting down writing the script, I was listening to a CD by, I bought these 3 CDs from the metaphysical store. Mozart, the Mozart Effect. One is Strengthening the Mind, so it's all Mozart's music that is on a certain wavelength that straightens the mind. There's the music, this is the one I listen to like incessantly, over and over and over again. Unlock the Creative Spirit is the other one. And the third is Heal the Body. So I listened to those. So I had the creative, Igniting the Creative Spirit. I played that over and over and over again on my CD player as I was writing the script. And I did that for the first 3 books. Because the music, Mozart's music, has a way of, someone here has kind of categorized the music based on its melodies and things to be able to spark creative spirit and healing the body and mind, body, and spirit. And I loved it. I used music for that purpose. Because if you're playing something that's aggressive, something that is disruptive, you're not going to tap into those creative juices. You got to be very careful about what you allow into your mind. We've talked about that a lot. And music with words, with vocals, doesn't often. To me, it's interruptive. It's I have to have something that's just kind of.
I don't know how you could write and do that, and
it's like
and stay in that flow state. And I think artists, musicians, and writers often talk about being in that flow state, and when they are, that's when they create their best work. And so for you, listening to that over and over and over again, I would imagine that it increased your brain theta activity, which is the low frequency, high amplitude. It's like creative ideas and innovation when you're in that state, and you have that heightened state of relaxation. You're open to new possibilities. There is a lot of amazing things in that state. And when you are in that theta state, not only can you solve problems better, but it is just an overall better mental state for relaxation. And I think, I'm really happy that you brought up listening to music like that, because I think I saw just a very funny meme the other day. It was a girl sitting in the car, and she said, I love driving by myself because I can listen to the same song over like 13 times in a row and nobody can say anything. And I think all of us have done that. We are like, oh my gosh, I love that song. Okay, I got to listen to that again. And then again, and it elicits a feeling that you just can't get enough. And I mean, I think there is, I don't remember even who sang that song, was just can't get enough, just can't get enough. It was like a 80s band or something. I'll think about it. But when you have that feeling, and there's so much joy, and it's like, feed me, you Little Shop of Horrors with the flower. Feed me, Seymour. Right. Give me more of that.
I want a lot more of that. Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
That's wonderful.
Yeah,
no, I agree.
Yeah, it is. I mean, I am very guilty of it. I sing some songs, and I don't ever get tired of listening to them. And I think I sometimes probably would wear out the CDs that I had in that particular section, because it's exactly what it is. But I think that when you have that resonance, and it does have to do with resonance. It has to do with those rhythms. It has to do with what. Maybe it is the heart, that it's like, okay, my heart needs that vibration. I'm feeling that. And there is something that actually I started listening to recently, and I found it so fascinating, because they were speaking about the vagus nerve, and how if you would place the hands on either side of your neck and then just hum and you feel that vibration in your hands, and it's like a humming bee. And they have found that beekeepers, and I found this, and so of course I'm always interested in longevity, is that beekeepers tend to live very long lives, and they believe that it's related to the humming of the bees. And so if you start to research the vibrational resonance that these bees put off, it's extremely healing to the body. Now, of course, for somebody that has a phobia of bees, perhaps it would not be that way, but they have found that you can actually do that yourself, whether you decide to put your hands on the side of your neck and hum, like take a deep breath in and create that and really feel it. And I think that's why we hum as human beings. You're doing something and you're not really thinking, and all of a sudden you'll find a melody, and you'll think, what am I humming? You don't really think about it. Mm-hmm. But we're feeding ourselves that energy.
So true. So true. That's exactly the case. That's exactly the case. You're doing that. You're feeding yourself. And it's fun to be able to now more easily kind of curate music wherever the heck you are. You can be walking around somewhere. I listen to music in one earbud sometimes when I'm playing golf. Just in one ear. I have one earbud on my right ear or my left ear. It depends on whether I'm driving or I'm not driving, sitting in the passenger seat. But yeah, that's what I love to do, because it helps relax me. In golf, you have to have a cadence about you. If you're moving too quickly, then you have a tendency to be too fast in your execution, and you want to be able to walk at a leisurely pace, kind of slow things down, slow the pace down, slow your breathing down, so that you're not excited in any way. And that's what I love about it. When I'm out on my own walks, sometimes I'll listen to a specific music track, because it puts my mind in a state that is relaxed and has me focused on what's going on around me. It's fun. It's absolutely fun. And then, of course, it's fun just to have silence when you're out too, because the world has a music of its own when it comes to birds, other animals in the forest. The wind blowing through the trees is phenomenal. when that's happening. I mean, there's a rhythm. When they say rhythm of life, life does have a rhythm.
Mm-hmm.
Our challenge is being able to actually pay attention to that rhythm, and how that rhythm impacts us. And that to me is really, really awesome. I'll be sitting outside sometimes and in the back porch and or patio, and just, it's just so beautiful. You're looking at the pine trees, people walking, down playing golf because one of the fairways runs behind the house. Birds. We have osprey that feed in the ponds over here, so they're always flying over. And the other day, this is off topic a little bit, but I don't think I sent this to you, but I'm in my office and I'm looking out the window, and a bald eagle decides to.
You did send me. Actually, we were on the phone when that happened.
Yeah.
Amazing.
And I'm sitting there going, oh my gosh, that bald eagle is right there. It flew. It wasn't any farther than about 50 yards from me, up in the tree on a limb, and it just sat there. And I ran downstairs. I think it probably got off. I'll call you back. I ran downstairs and went outside. And when I walked out the door, it had flown from that tree to an even closer tree, up about 30 feet. And it was looking around. It was definitely noticing that we were there, because these birds can spot a mouse from 500 feet. And so it was just so majestic. It sat there, and there was another little bird, a sparrow something, that was perturbed with it being where it was on that branch. It was just sitting there, just looking out. And I know it was looking at something, but Lord knows what that was. But this little bird was perturbed, and this bird was like, hey, get out of my space. And so it was literally coming and flying circles around this bald eagle and telling it to get out of here. Like, hey, my nest is over there maybe. I don't really know. But you're in the wrong spot, pal. And it just kept bugging the bald eagle and bugging the bald eagle until the bald eagle just said, okay, I've had enough. And it flew away. So you're like, oh my gosh, this bird could literally take a wing and whack you out of the air, and you're out there doing this. You're pecking at it. You're flying around in a circle around its head and everything, and it's not moving or anything. It's just like it knows you're there. You're just trying to do everything. It's trying to do everything it can to disturb the bald eagle. It's such a majestic bird. There's a couple that live in the area. Yeah, I know it's a digression from music, but it's the rhythm of life. You're
absolutely right. It is the rhythm of life. I mean, if you're outside and you see the rain, it's like a rainstorm, and there's that rhythm of the sound. I mean, sometimes in the summertime, to listen to the sound of the rain is so incredibly peaceful. To be in, as you mentioned, in the woods. I love walking. I don't walk with music or anything else when I'm out walking the dogs. It's just the sounds that I hear and those rhythms in nature and the different things that you hear. And then every now and then I'll get the woodpecker and I'll be like, peck, 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 peck. It's like, where are you? Where are you? I hear you. I hear you.
In the spring,
but
we'll get the woodpecker.
Mhm.
Yeah,
I
agree.
No, you feel it. You feel it. I mean, there's a certain joy. You think about like a lot of the things that go back. I mean, music is medicine and vibration and I worked a lot with resonance and vibration in my holistic health practice, and so you really start to understand the power of things like singing bowls. And a lot of this, I think I always laugh because people refer to it as New Age stuff. No, this goes back to, probably 500 BC, if not even more so.
Very ancient times. I agree.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, very ancient times with the bowls. But it's New Age because people they don't understand it. Anything you don't understand, you label in some way as being negative, label in some negative way, and it's instead of being open to understanding. Hey, what is that? What is that? What does that do? It gets cubbyholed into as something that is woo-woo, that's out there, and that it doesn't work or whatever. It's been around forever, longer than the drugs that people are taking right now to fix their disease and ailments. And
sure.
We're talking about time-tested, time-honored, and time-respected modalities that misunderstood is always poo-pooed in some way. And that's
but if you go back to the 1700s, and I think it was Digel, and he did some research on the effects of drumming, actually the sound of drumming, and how it affected the heart rate, respiration, pulse, and the blood pressure of the different patients. And what he found was that the sound lowered blood pressure, increased heart function, decreased the pulse rate, and improve the whole overall function of the nervous system. So, what do you pick up a drum kit, or you want to go pick up your prescription, or you want to listen to binaural beats, or you want to do whatever, right? I agree.
There's a lot out there.
Is that?
Yeah, so many different modalities that we don't even know about that are being, and a lot of it is. Again, the 5 inches between our ears. It's what we believe is possible. Our perception of things really kind of dictates, in many ways, how your body reacts to it and responds to it. And if you're feeling the love of a song, that's going to take you places. That's going to elevate your frequency. It's going to and thus your mood and your frequency, and it's going to be a form of alchemy to take you from wherever you are now to someplace completely different in thought and feeling, and hopefully action. Because we're talking about being more loving beings, being more kind and empathetic and compassionate, and music can support that intention, those intentions.
Absolutely. And did you say you were listening when you were writing your book? You were listening to Mozart.
Yeah.
So Mozart tuned his music to 432, which is a healing frequency. And, the Gregorian chants, which I also enjoy listening to, I find them very meditative, were tuned to 528, which they say is the frequency of the heart, frequency of love. Love. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and
that's absolutely true.
Seems so simple, and it's not so far out of reach. I mean, what does turning on a playlist cost you? If the music's on YouTube or on your iPod or whatever it is, wherever you store your music.
Better watch it. You're dating yourself with an iPod, girl.
I know. I still have mine. Though I never got rid of it. It still works.
Mine broke long ago. But I mean, the thing right now, it's we've been through them all. I mean, the whole the concept of where things have come just in the past 20 years. And I was looking at digression again. I just keep thinking about this while watching Antiques Roadshow on the PBS show, which is so fascinating because they go all over the country, and people, wherever they are, people come from miles around, bringing their antiques and things they think that are old, that have value, things that have been passed down through generations in their family, and they bring in all the appraisers to talk about them and the like. And I find that when they do the show, they did the show in 2000 to 2005 or 2007. A lot of the values were higher when they came back than when they came back in 2018, 19, 17. And the only explanation I have for that is that in 2002, 4, 5, prior to that, there was no internet. There was no internet in the way that we think about it today. There are young people who were born and after that era. But if you have less items out there that people know about, you get higher valuations. And then later, now the stuff is ubiquitous. It's all over the place, right? It's on eBay. It's here. It's there. There are lots more auctions. Some things that had a higher value then because of their they were perceived as being less available are now more available. Things are coming out of the woodwork. So things are getting less, are being recorded as worth less, are selling for less. And I think it's interesting how technology has actually done that. One of the other things that's beautiful about the technological advancements from music is there are a lot of older vinyl recordings that are being remastered series, because they coming off vinyl being remastered into digital. They go back through them and they clean them up and make the sound even more clear, go back to the old recordings in a studio, remaster the work, change the volume levels and this and that, and just clean up all the odd sounds and scratches and things that might have occurred, or any sounds that were out there. And a lot of older works are being remastered right now. And,
yeah, that's amazing.
It's beautiful.
But I also find it fascinating because I'm not that educated on this, so you may know more about it, but the fact that vinyl captures more nuances in sound than what digital does, which is why you're seeing the vinyl coming back. People want that. They want all of the tones. Now, am I correct in when I'm saying tones, Michael, or is it something else beyond that people are missing from the digital era of music?
It's the way that the music, it's the way that the music is translated. Digital translates different than vinyl, and it's all new. It's all nuances of the sound that's being created. It's not just the tone.
So is it the sound, vibration, and resonance then?
Okay. Every instrument's resonance, vibration, and sound. It's just different. If you listen to a recording that was from the 1930s, it will have a lot of tinniness to it, right? Has tendency to be tinny, where you're getting lots of highs, some mid-range, not a lot of lows, okay? And so you'll have, based on the sophistication of the recording process, you'll have a difference in all every nuance of the music that's being recorded. I find the retro angle of vinyl today to be twofold. One might be the fact that it's nostalgic, it's different, it's not digital, so there's a retro vibe, people wanting to get away from digital and go back to the way things were. And the other is sound, I guess. I have not listened to I gave up my record player. It's still back in California at my mother's house, I think. I gave up a lot of that a while back because I couldn't travel out here with it. But the fact is that it's putting the record on, but it's how the music is interpreted through the electronics that you had. See, back then we had tubes, and today you have digital components even within an amplifier that translates music from a record. Even if you put an older record on, the components that you're using, that has a lot to do with the way the music is what you hear in the music. So it's not that I'm not sold on going back to records at this particular point. However, I do find that it's. I mean, if you listen to a song in an earbud or versus headphones, the song is going to sound completely different in headphones than it does in the earbud, because the earbud is not sophisticated enough to capture all of the nuances of highs and lows, right? So it kind of sticks to the middle range. And so your headphones, which is why a lot of people wear headphones when they walk. They don't wear earbuds. they were Bluetooth headphones. And those Bluetooth headphones not only shut out the noise because they're noise canceling, the outside white noise, but they allow more of the sound to penetrate your ear. So that's pretty amazing in its own right. So if you're out, again, I don't know. I'm not a fan of wearing headphones when I'm out walking or whatever because I'm kind of missing something. However, it is quite natural for people to wear headphones nowadays under those circumstances. I wear them when I fly all the time, and I love listening through headphones when I fly because I used to fly 10.5 hours each way between here and Europe a couple times a month, and the drone of engines at 39,000 feet can be stressful. You have to wear it out. It wears you out because your mind is trying to minimize the white noise, trying to mitigate the white noise, and so it's using energy. You're using energy to do that without you even knowing it. You're doing it. So you're more tired getting off a plane 10 hours where you have no headphones on, and when you wear headphones and you can mitigate that noise, just eliminate it, you have more energy when you get to your destination.
No, you're absolutely right. And I mean, we know that sound heals. I mean, it's been used by mystics and healers and everybody else in between. And this, I'm very fascinated with the solfeggio frequencies, which is the 528. Again, the frequency of love, miracles, and healing. And I think that is why I so appreciated you bringing this into my consciousness today, because it makes me more conscious. Okay, what am I going to pick on my playlist tonight? What do I want to bring in? I mean, more love, miracles, and healing? Absolutely. Sign me up for that any day of the week. And to be able to know that something invisible and that vibration and that resonance is moving that energy. It's moving it through me. It's moving it around me. It's creating that state of receptivity that I want to utilize to attract in what it is that I do want. And I just, I'm really grateful, Michael, because it made me think about coda, all these different things. And that's what I enjoy so much about being here on the show with you, and I'm sure the audience does too, because there's so many nuances. We never know where the show is going to take us, but the fact that we have this ability to be connected not only through love but through this invisible is just amazing to me.
Well, it is. It is more than such. I want to, before we've got just a couple of minutes, but our audience might want to check out Dr. Jeffrey Thompson on YouTube. The Jeffrey is 2 F's, so it's Dr. and then Jeffrey Thompson, Thompson. Dr. Jeffrey Thompson. Some really, really cool stuff, just to help broaden your horizons when it comes to the healing quality of music, and then maybe music likely that you've never heard before, style of, but it's music with a purpose. And that purpose is to help you feel as good as you can feel. It's probably the simplest way to put it. And so I would encourage our listeners to check it out, Dr. Jeffrey Thompson on YouTube. By the way,
thank you.
I refer to those drums as taiko drums.
Yes.
Because my first wife was Japanese. I went to a lot of events, and where taiko drumming was taking place, and that's really, really cool. That's spelled Taiko, and you can go on YouTube and check out Taiko Drummers of Japan, which is
Kodo, Kodo, right? That's who
Kodo.
I saw.
Yeah, Kodo Odaiko. Kodo Odaiko is Japanese drummers. They're playing taiko. The Kodo is the drummers themselves. Kodo.
Oh, okay.
Kodo. The Kodo Odaiko is the drumming group. Taiko is the name of the the drumming, and you can learn taiko for drum beats for beginners on YouTube. It's really kind of cool. So imagine what you could do if you took up, if you decided to get into this for your own edification and your own healing. It's really cool. If you ever get a chance to catch, I know down at in Walt Disney World in Epcot Center there is taiko. They do a taiko drumming several times at the Japanese pavilion. So
they do.
about
Have fun.
less than half a minute. Yeah, but listen, I want to say thank you for this. The music's been awesome. I hope our audience has really very much enjoyed this. I know I have. And
I have too. Thank you.
I really want to say, hey, much love to you and our audience, and looking forward to another show next week.
Absolutely. Thank you.